Hi guys, this is Vishal here from DrapCode. So in this video we will understand how to use floating models. So basically there are model pop-ups in most of the web application which opens up on a page, but you cannot do anything behind the scene, right? Let's say you have opened a model and then you want to do something which is on the page or on the screen which is behind the model. You cannot do it because it blocks all things, right? So to handle those scenarios, there is a concept of floating models where you have a model pop-up which you can move it wherever you want. You can resize it, you can close it, and then you can reopen it when you need. Like let's say you are working on some project, you want to take notes, so you have that model open somewhere in the window or on a browser which you can use as you want, and then you can close it, right? So this way it is not hampering you to use other features of the application. So let's see how that can be done, right? So let's take a page. So we'll use it here, right? So let's say this is a page and here we want to use some models, right? So for that, what we'll do first, we'll create the models, then we'll bind them to the event, right? So we have in the snippets we have this concept floating model, right? So you can add a snippet. Let's say, so this is a project about task management, project management. So it has collection related to project task. So let's say I want to create projects, I want to create tasks. So, and let's do it through floating models, right? So I'll go to the snippets, add a snippet, let's say create task, and I change it to floating model because now I want to create a snippet of type floating model. Bind a collection, completely optional, but let's say we are creating a task form, so we can bind the collection. Okay, so now I'll drop a collection form task in some event. So let's say save task. That's all, right? So task form, task name, description, assigned to, let's say I don't want user to give the task status, and project reference because these will come from the other field, right? Let's create one more. You can even list projects, edit project, whatever you want to do, right? But for now we are just seeing how the floating model works, right? So I'll just create one more snippet, which is create project, right? Now I'll drop a collection form. So here I bind the collection called projects. It has some different fields, say projects, some event. Now project has name, description, start date, end date, status we don't need, project owner we don't need, right? And let's say we don't even need description. Let's see. So this is one model and then another model, right? Now let's create an event. So I'll say add event. So here we want to open that model. So we'll go to the snippet model pop-up and click open floating model. So this is a different event from the regular model close and model open event. So you will need to select this. So this is for the task. So I'll say create task. Don't want to pass any ID. So this does not work in Mozilla browser. It's the limitation of the library, but it will work for all other browsers, right? So let's create one more event. In the model, I'll say open floating model and projects one. Okay, save. Now let's add a button on some page where we can see them in action. So let's say this is my login page. Now I'll add buttons here, right? So I'll add a button component or a link component where we can bind the event. So I'll drop a button component and I'll say change it to type button so that we can bind an event, and event is open task floating model, right? And I remove this class and add some different class. Let's say btn success so that it remains separate from other buttons. And let's add some margin towards the left. Margin left, let's say 20 pixels, just to maintain some gap. Let's add one more button. change it to button so that we can bind an event. Project model, we'll call it to. Okay, this is done. Now let's do the same thing, remove these classes, add some different class, let's say btn warning. Okay, let's add some margin towards the left, which is of 10 pixel. Okay, so now we have two buttons which has a event binded, which will open the floating model, and we already created those floating models, right? So let's publish. View. So now this will create a task. So you see, this is a floating model which is for the task. Now the good thing is that you can move this model, right? And you can still continue. Let's say I want to continue this, my username, I want to do something, the model remains here, right? So this is helpful when let's say you want to take some notes, you want to do something, and at the same time you also want to interact the scene, the screen which is behind the model, right? You can minimize it, so the model is here. You can reopen it, you can basically resize it, you can do whatever you want to do, right? So now let's say the model is open. Now we want to open one more model. There are a lot of scenarios where you're working on something, some screen is open and you want to use another screen, you just create open. So now the create project model is here, right? So you can basically increase the size, decrease the size, move as you want. Same thing you can do here, and you can work on multiple things at the same time, right? So let's say I want this screen here and this screen maybe, I don't know, maybe below it. Let's resize this, wait, okay, move it here. Let's say I'm just giving an example. Then move it here, and then I want to continue on my other things, which I can do and keeping these models here. And if I want to resize it, I can just resize it. So this way I'm able to do a lot of things on my screen without allowing models to block me to do something else. So this is the concept of floating model, which is really helpful for a application. We are going to do several things without moving or navigating from one page to another. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you again in the next video. Bye bye.